Want to know about your family in this life? Well, I'm here to tell you about your family planet based on astrology. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Hannah and welcome back, Cosmic Warriors. Before we do dive in, if you want to learn more about astrology, then head on over to the Cosmic Check-In podcast. And if you would like to book a reading with me, then go to hannahselsewhere.com. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's do this. Okay, so before we start, which house is your fourth house ruler in? Let me know. But just to describe the fourth house in astrology, the fourth house points to how we were raised by our parents, how we were nurtured or not nurtured. Did you feel safe? Could you open up emotionally? What is your family tree like? Family relationships can then influence and shape us, more so on a highly subconscious level. The fourth house represents your family of origin, your DNA, your genetics, your ancestry. It can tell you a lot about your family history and where you come from, what is essentially passed on through generations. But it's also about the land or property we acquire, the garden we have, the type of home we go on to set up later on in life for ourselves, the family we choose to have or the family we choose not to have. Where do you decide to put down roots? And what is the environment like within your home? What was it like growing up? Who did you live with? Who were you raised by? Perhaps by your grandparents or by some parents, friends, by uncles or aunties. What was the atmosphere itself like? And were you taught by these individuals? It is a house of affection, trust, loyalty, love, acceptance, connection, support, and autonomy. The fourth house shows us our emotional security and needs, your private self. Now, the IC, the Amum Coli, can also represent these areas. So as I go through the houses today, make sure to locate the ruler of your IC as well. It just really depends on the system you use. Of course, the house system, though, you could be like me and the IC resides in your fourth, meaning your ruler is going to be the same. On that note, let's get into it. So if the fourth house ruler resides in your first house, your family life seems to shape your outlook on life quite a bit, as if the way you were raised manifests physically or shows up when you introduce yourself to new people or when you enter into new situations and experiences. Naturally, how this plays out depends on the planet and the sign, but what we notice here is how your family life, your upbringing have this big impact on your overall demeanor, identity, and approach. You might even get told that you look like your father or your mother. The fourth house ruler actually resides in the first house for me, and I looked a lot like my dad growing up, but today I see much more of my mum. And this is using the whole sign system, by the way. Still, the opinions from your family can impact your body and your appearance, either positively or negatively. Perhaps you are also quite a private person. Until you feel safe and comfortable, you're not likely to open up or talk too much about yourself. Perhaps you're also seen as quite a nurturing and caring person, and you might have these desires to raise your own family one day. And if you do become a parent, you are seen by others as very loving. Now again, this can also depend on the sign and planet. If the fourth house ruler resides in the second house, your family life shapes your finances, assets, and your resources, such as receiving an inheritance, gathering sentimental items, possessing heirlooms, and collecting family photos. You'll take a trip down memory lane via old items or by buying new items to keep for your family. You are quite a sentimental shopper or spender, perhaps preferring to spend your money on family and close relatives. And if you go on to have a family of your own, perhaps you strive to have enough money to support your family. It's really important to you that you can provide. You prefer then to be financially well off in this way. Now, this also does depend on the planet and the sign. And also, the other thing about this is you will spend your money on items within your home. Okay, so furniture, renovations, decorating, extensions, equipment. Maybe you seek to buy your own home. And if you already have bought a home, you're always thinking of ways to feel comfortable, of ways to make your home cozy. How you save, budget, earn, and spend your money might also be dependent on how you were raised, either positively or negatively. If the fourth house ruler resides in your third house, your family life shapes how you communicate, how you learn and study, how you think and arrive to conclusions. So this could be your accent, your language, how you speak. If you're more introverted or extroverted, are you a fast learner? Are you a slow learner? Do you prefer learning via speaking or writing? This does depend on the planet and the sign, but what we are seeing here is that your family influences how you interact with the world. For example, maybe your mother was quite a chatty person, and so you're quite chatty with your neighbors. Or maybe your father was quite quiet, and so you tend to keep to yourself within your neighborhood. You also tend to talk quite a bit about your family, or you're told often that you sound like certain family members. Plus, your family influenced your education quite a bit, such as your mother encouraging you to get good grades at school, or your father paying for tutoring. And when it comes to raising a family of your own, you will teach your children. You'll want them to learn things, and so you'll take time to educate them, or you'll pass on what you learned from your own family to your own children. You also like to take short trips, short journeys with family, with children, or you would often go on short trips to various places growing up. If the fourth house ruler resides in the fourth, your family life shapes your very attitudes toward family and home. You see the importance of family and having a pleasant and comfortable home. For such reasons, you might be very careful about the kind of partner you marry or about raising children. Maybe you're mindful about the fact that you will essentially be living with these people, and so it is important to choose wisely. Then again, this might also be where we see the past influencing and shaping your decisions. If you were raised, for example, in a disruptive home, you will strive to set up a more peaceful and secure home. Or if your mother or father did something a certain way growing up, you might keep the tradition going within your own home. Perhaps you have had family members stay with you, or you enjoy visiting your own family often or when you can. You might be a highly family oriented person. You care a great deal about your home. And of course, what I am saying here does depend on the planet and the sign. But overall, home is where the heart is, and your attachment to your homeland is strong. I hope you are enjoying this video so far, and if you are, then please be sure to give it a like and to subscribe for more, of course, if you haven't already. And if you want to learn more about astrology, then you can pick up my bestseller, The Astrology Cheat Sheets. Thank you so much. If the fourth house ruler resides in your fifth, your family life shapes your self-expression and confidence. So if you felt you were loved and encouraged as a child, you might come across as self-assured, eager to join in on the games. Have fun, right? But if you were put down or shamed, this could be a lot more challenging for you. Then again, you could just be quite shy. Even if your family had big personalities, maybe your family do have big personalities with this placement. And of course, it does depend on the planet and the sign. But another thing is you might have had a ton of fun with your family growing up. Trips and adventures were a big part of your upbringing. Maybe you grew up in quite an artsy or creative family or home comprised of entertainers and performers, or in this very expressive and loud home. Now, with that being said, perhaps drama, right? A lot of drama could have happened. Your family also might have played a role in the kinds of partners you would date. And when it comes to raising a family of your own, well, you will encourage them to enjoy themselves, or you like doing many fun things together. It's like your children really bring out your inner child. Heck, you might set up entertainment rooms or equipment within your home, like having a pool table or a games room. You are a big kid at heart. If the fourth house ruler resides in your sixth, your family life shapes your routines, schedules, health, and diet. So, for instance, the food your family would eat, you keep that diet going on even whenever you're older, years later. Or your parents taught you a few recipes, how to cook. It was important to your parents that you learned how to do all of the daily chores and tasks, all of those day-to-day responsibilities, basically, as if they prepared you for the adult world. They taught you how to look after yourself. Of course, this does depend on the sign and the planet, though another possibility is that you work within the same field or within the same role as your mother or father. Your parents taught you quite a bit about employment, how to be quite savvy in this way. And like I said, your health is perhaps shaped in some way by your family. So this could look like your father having diabetes and then you having diabetes, or your mother being allergic to horses and then you being allergic. Or hey, possibly you looking after your family, caring for them, having to attend to their needs, perhaps to your own detriment and your own well-being. Though still on a lighter note, I mean, this could be, for instance, you reminding your mother or father about medications and things like that, just little ways to help out. And also another example of this could be your dying grandmother needing to be attended to, right? And so maybe you looked after her. And that could have been something that really came from your heart and you wanted to do, right? And hey, you might also work out often within your home, or you set up your own gym. Maybe your parents were quite active, or they taught you quite a bit about looking after your body, looking after yourself. Again, depends on the planet and the sign. And if you go on to raise a family of your own, you will most likely be a caregiver or this medical assistant within the home, so to speak, there to really help family members who are sick, poorly, to make sure that your children eat their greens, passing on your own recipes to family, checking your child's temperature, teaching your children how to iron, cook, clean, and vacuum. If the fourth house ruler resides in your seventh, your family life shapes your relationships, even going as far as to say that your parents play a role in who you marry or in how you show up within your relationships, especially committed ones, such as the type of spouse you choose, the wedding you have, or the way you behave within the union. Or when it comes to choosing a partner, you're quite mindful about the type of home you have together. You may marry to raise a family, or at least to make sure that you're in a safe, committed relationship. Though another possibility is that you enter into a business partnership with family members. Perhaps you work with your mother or your father, or you're a part of a family business. This could also be your spouse reminding you of certain family members, or it's that you look to your partner for emotionally secure support, for comfort. Maybe as well you marry someone who is quite family orientated, someone who is quite caring. And naturally, of course, this does depend on the planet and the sign, as always, right? But essentially, There is a strong connection between family and partnerships. Could even be that one of your family members joins together with your partner and there's some business partnership that happens there, for example. And also it could be that you subconsciously bring your family history and conditioning into your relationships. The fourth house ruler residing in the eighth. So your family life shapes your unconscious drives and motivations, as if there is a lot you keep inside or do not see within yourself tied to your upbringing. And so perhaps something to consider is your own psychological or spiritual journey when it comes to pulling back the layers, these hidden layers. Maybe your mother or father was a psychologist, or they would psychoanalyze you quite a bit. Or it could be that you were raised in a turbulent and unsettling, unsafe home, full of secrets, lies, manipulative tactics. Naturally, do consider the planet and the sign, though another example here is that you lost a parent pretty young. You might have grown up surrounded by loss, pain, death, a lot of grief here. But see, this is also where we notice that raising a family of your own could very well change your life completely. Just change you from the inside out, completely transform you. You might even gain finances and security from your spouse or from your family. Assessing your family's trauma is also likely here. Or feeling a call to maybe be this therapist because of the upbringing that you had, you may feel within you this deep craving to sort of help other people. The fourth house ruler residing in the ninth. Your family life shapes your attitudes towards travel and exploration. Maybe your family would travel quite a bit growing up. You would go on many holidays and vacations, or it's that your family shaped the choices you made about university or college. Your parents' advice could have helped you to choose whether you wanted to go or you didn't. Perhaps you also learn a great deal about the wisdom and knowledge from your family, and you feel somewhat guided by them. But hey, this could also be in a positive way or a negative way, depends on the planet and the sign here. Still, their beliefs and their philosophical views may stay with you. It's like they shape you. Or it's that you were raised in a highly religious home. That's another possibility. Though another possibility is that you move away from your family. You decide to relocate. Then you travel back and forth between your new home and your family home. Maybe from one country to another, possibly, right? Or it's that you continue to go on adventures with family when you're older. And again, depends on the planet and the sign. Though in terms of raising a family of your own, maybe you pass on family knowledge or you guide your own children based on your family's morals and philosophical views. The fourth house ruler residing in the 10th house. Your family life shapes your career choices and attitudes towards success, status, and social standing. Naturally, how this plays out really does depend on the sign, the planet, because this could be more of a pleasing thing for some people, but it could be much more challenging and harder for other people. So this could look like your parents pushing you to take a certain career path, but you didn't really feel aligned with it. Or this could be your parents guiding you and it really felt right. Perhaps your parents taught you about business, leadership, work ethic, being driven and determined. This was either done directly or indirectly. Even if you grew up without a parent to teach you, it's like you learned from their mistakes, from what they didn't do. You might have strived to really get out of your family home as soon as possible. So you went on to support yourself, to be self-sufficient. Though another way to look at this is your mother or father ran a family business, or it's that your parents had so much responsibility. Again, you might have been influenced by their hard work and by their dedication. And if you go on to raise a family of your own, you'll most likely teach them about business or how to choose a career path that really suits their needs. You'll guide your children so they can be successful. The fourth house ruler residing in the 11th. Your family life shapes your friendship choices, the kinds of clubs you join, the way you connect within groups and teams. Again, this does depend on the planet and the sign when it comes to how this all plays out exactly, but there is a link between your upbringing and who you join together with. Perhaps your parents would tell you who you could and you couldn't be friends with, for example, or they would encourage you to join certain clubs, such as a gymnastics club or a football club. Perhaps certain friends you have remind you of family members, as if you reenact your early upbringing with friends. Emotional and subconscious patterns can play out. You might also be highly selective about friends and groups. You'll be quite private at first, and being with your friends could very well bring you safety and security. They make you feel comfortable and safe. Another example, though, is that your family influences your hopes and dreams for the future, as if your family can help you go after your dreams. And if you raise a family of your own, perhaps you will teach your children about your culture. You teach them to be kind to others and to make others feel welcome. Lastly, the fourth house ruler residing in the 12th. Your family life shapes your hidden self, your most private and sensitive self. For example, maybe one of your parents died whenever you were very young, or one of your parents was in prison. Maybe they struggled with an addiction, or they were in and out of hospital. Naturally, this might also be said about different family members, but there was a huge disconnect because they were ill, they were lost. And so you tend to keep your family life private. Family members were unavailable, and so you felt alone, right? You felt alone. So for such reasons, you would spend the majority of your time in your room. I have this placement using the Placidus system, and this is very true for me. Though another possibility is that you grew up in quite a spiritual home where your parents practiced their faith often. Maybe you also dream of having a family one day, but you also fear it, or you fear it will never happen. And something you're coming to learn here is how to untangle yourself from the past, so to speak, where you don't continue to be as consumed by it. But this is also about breaking cycles, breaking patterns, freeing yourself, so to speak, being reborn, surrendering to the unknown when it comes to family, to new possibilities. Now, this does depend on the planet and the sign, but even if you decide to raise a family of your own, you might be quite private about your family, okay, about what your family get up to. Not one to post your children on social media, for example. And you also seek a home that feels calming, peaceful. You'll pass your spiritual gifts on to your children. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes this video all about your family planet. I hope you found the video to be helpful, and if you did, you can always buy me a coffee. Stay tuned for more, and I will catch you in the next one.